Here is what we are going to cover today. A simple blog application using Django. In this blog application, we're going to create different blogs or different posts. We're going to read a post, we're going to edit a post, and also to delete a post. So let's see how we can be able to do this. And again, before we continue, to mention that the creation and everything is being done to a user who is logged in. At the moment, our simple application does not have a login, but I have created a super user using Django administration here. And right now I'm logged in as a super user that I created, who is Wamboy. Now, if I log out, refresh, I'm logged out here. So if I come back here and refresh, you will see that there are some bits that you can't see. You can only read the title and also some details about the post. Then you can also read more about the post, but you can't manage that post, meaning only a logged in user can be able to manage a post, and each user can manage their own posts. So you can't be able to edit, delete, or even manage any other person's posts. Okay, so now I'm going to log in back as Wamboy, who is our super user. We're going even to create other users and see. So we log in. So here is the super admin, who is Wamboy. And if you come here to users, you can see we only have one user, who is a super admin. Okay, now if we come back here to blog post and refresh, now we can see the creation, the editing, the deleting back. Now let's create a simple post. So I'll come here, and our post is going to be introduction to Python, like that. And then here we're going to write Python is a very popular programming language. Then we're going to publish immediately and save. So once we have created a post, then there is an option for you to edit it or even to delete it. So we can come back here to all the posts and first see the post. Here it is, introduction to Python. Then we can proceed and read the posts. We can see here it is. Then back to all the posts, we can be able to edit the post. So assuming we don't want to have Python, introduction to Python, then let's have Python overview, like that. Then we can save posts. So you can see your post has been updated. So in each and everything that we are doing, we're also getting messages around whatever we are doing. Okay, so we go back to all the posts. You can see Python here, overview, it has changed to Python overview from introduction to Python. Another thing that we can do is, or another thing that I wanted to show you is, let's create a post, and this post does not, we check some sort of validation that we've added on this post title. Assuming we want to have a title known as life, then I'm going to do a simple content here and say life is good, like that, and then publish immediately and save post. So you see, it says title must be at least 10 characters long. So this is an extra or custom validation that we add in this form. So we're going to see how we do this using Django or model forms. Okay, now going back home, we do have the delete. So if you click on delete, I'll delete this. Then there is a confirmation, because deletion is permanent. So you don't want to delete wrongly or by mistake delete something. So this confirmation, it protects that. Now there is a yes, delete it or cancel. So when you confirm, if I say cancel, then you see it's not deleted. If we go back, you can see we still have our post. But if I delete and say yes, delete it, you can see your post has been deleted and it's no longer visible now. Okay, so this is exactly what we are looking to cover. We're going to create step by step each bit of it, and here is the path or the things that we're going to cover. So one of them is we're going to create a model blog post, and we're going to add some few fields. So one of them is the title. So this is the title that we were adding over here. So create post, this is the post title. Then we're going to have the content. So this is the content where we are having this bit here. Then we're going to have the author. So this is where I'm saying a user must be logged in for them to manage their posts. Then the other thing is, so in this model, the one for blog posts, we're going to have our user. Now, using Django provides built-in authentication where we do have already a user model that has been created. So all we have to do is we have to only link the user model into our model that we want a user aspect. Okay, then the other thing is going to be is published. So this is where we are confirming whether we need to publish immediately. Then we also have the published date. So if I go to my home and see all the posts, you can see there is published on the day it was published. So that is exactly what we're going to have in terms of the model. So on the model, this is the database side. So what is the database setup? So it is going to look like this. So we're going to have a model with the following fields. Okay, then the other thing that we're going to cover during the creation of this application is Django forms. So what are Django forms? So Django forms, they are used to efficiently handle and validate user input. Okay, so you get the user input and then you can be able to validate the input. So using the different fields that you're going to ask for the user, then you can be able to validate the data accordingly. The other thing that is going to be available in Django Forms is we can be able to add multiple things. We can be able to add some labels, we can be able to add some help texts, we can be able to add some custom validation, and so on. So that is what we're going to cover in terms of forms. Then the other thing is we're going to cover views. Views, they are used to handle requests, or they request data from the DB. So here we usually make requests. We make requests to the DB, and then from the views we also receive a response like that. Okay, so that is using the views. So we make the request, and then using the views we get a response, right? Once we get a response, then we need to specify how is the response going to be displayed so that it can be displayed on the browser. So this is where the various templates, they are created. So I'm going to create a couple of templates. So one, we're going to have the post form, that is for the form. Then we're going to have the post details. So you can see we have the form here. And then if we go back, we do have the detailed view of the post. Then you go back, we do have the delete. So here, the confirmation, we're also going to have it. Okay, so from there, also, I'm going to introduce you to template inheritance. So template inheritance is you come up with a base.html template, and with this base.html template, this is where you define how, or the structure, or some things that you define there is also the styles. We also define some constant components like the header, and also, I mean, the navbar, and also the footer. So you can be able to define them over there. So the things that will be repeated from template to another, you can define them in the base.html. Now that means when you go to create another template like post form, then you don't focus on the creation of these other things that are already created in the base.html. So you just inherit them, then you can proceed and add only what is important for the form. Okay, then for the views, they have to be mapped to a URL. So for example, if you come here, we see this is a URL. So the URL is the one that we are able to render our view, and then the view can now return the template. Now this is the URL. So we call this URL mapping. So we're going to create some couple of routes or URLs that are going to be displaying these views, and now views in return can display the templates. So that is exactly the structure that we're going to have for our application. Now, I want us to get started with the creation of this application. But before we can do that, let's create a new user and confirm whether using the different users, whether we can be able to edit other people's work. Okay, so we're going to add a user here, and this user is going to be known as Helen. And then for Helen, we're just going to have a very strong password here. As per the suggestions, you can see your password cannot be too similar, and so on and so forth. Then I'm going to confirm the password here, then save. So I've been able to create a user who is Helen. Now here we're just going to add more details about Helen. So what I'm going to do is I want to make Helen to be able to log into the admin site so that we can have Helen to log in, and once they are logged in, now they can be able to create posts. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a staff status here for the permissions, and we're not going to make our Helen super user. So super user has access of everything, so we're just going to make them access the admin site but not everything. Okay, so staff there, then I'm going to save. Okay, so now if you go to users, now I do have two users, who is Helen and Wamboi. So I want to log out, And once I log out and just refresh here to confirm that I'm logged out, I go back here and home. You can see I can't be able to see these. And I have a couple things here. You see introduction to Django and Django MVT pattern. These ones, they were created by Wamboy. You see, as another user, you should not be able to manage other people's blog posts, right? You're supposed to only manage what you created. Now, I want us to log in as Helen and see what can Helen do. So come back here, then I'm going to say Helen, and then I'm going to add the password there and log in. Sorry, let me add the correct password. Log in. You see, here is Helen. Here is Helen. They don't have much of permissions to view or edit anything. That was the staff status that we added, but at least they can be able to access the Django administration. Now, if I come back here and refresh, you can see we do have create post, but you see for the other blog posts that belong to Wamboye, Helen cannot be able to edit or delete. Now we can create some posts for Helen. So I'm going to create a post here and I'm going to say introduction to React. Okay, so I'm just going to write, to make it simple, React is a JavaScript framework like that. Then I'm going to publish immediately and save post. You can see we have been able to create. If I go back to all the posts, and here it is. But for this specific one, because it belongs to Helen, who is logged in, they have the capability of managing it, in that they can be able to edit and also delete. So if I edit, I can be able to edit. So instead of having these, we can have React overview, then save. You see, if I go back, you can see we have React overview, and also we can be able to delete. So we can either cancel or yes, delete it. Okay, now that is how different users cannot be able to manage other people's users. So only the logged in user can manage their own posts. Okay, so let's get into creation of these applications step by step, and on the way we're going to learn the different concepts, and I'm going to explain each and every step of the way. Again, there is styling that has been applied over here. So for styling, I'm going to use normal CSS or vanilla CSS. So we're going to have a lot of styling together, and I hope you enjoy this tutorial. So let's get started. So on my terminal, I'm going to get to desktop. So CD desktop. And then from here, I'm going to create a folder. So I'm going to say mkdir. This is make directory. And then I'm going to make a directory known as blogs, like that. Then enter. It already exists. I'm going to create another one. So mkdir, then blog project, like that. Enter. And we do have now blog project created over there. I'm going to go to my Visual Studio Code and I am going to create this. So open folder. I'm going to open that folder. Here it is. And then I'm going to set up my project, Django project, and also create an application. So I'm going to open my terminal. And then I'm going to first set up a virtual environment. So for my environment, I'm going to create using Python 3, then -m, then the name of my environment, which is going to be my env, like that, enter. So you can use Python if Python 3 doesn't work for you. Then I'll come here and activate my environment. So source my env /bin /activate, then enter. Then once we do that, we're going to proceed and install Django. So pip install Django, enter. After installing Django, we're going to proceed and create a project. So how we create a project is using Django admin, then start project, then the name of the project. So we're going to call this project my project. Let's call it that, my project. Then I'm going to add space and a dot so that we prevent some duplication of the folder, my project, enter. So we do have my project over here. Then I'm going to proceed and create an application. So I'll come here and Python manage.py startup, then the name of my app. So it is going to be blog app. then enter. Okay, now we do have a blog app, we do have our project. I'm going to go straight into my project, into settings.py. I want to register my application as part of the installed apps here. So I'll come here and set it up. So this is blog app. Just add it as part of the installed applications. Okay, so that is the first step. Now I want us to proceed and start creating the application. So you just go to models. So on models, this is where we're going to define our model. And then once we create a model, then for forms, we're going to create a forms.py file. We don't have it yet. Then once we do have that, we're going to create our views.py. Then from views.py, we're going to proceed and create some templates folder inside the application, create all the templates, and then add the URLs as well. Okay, so let's get started on the blog post model. So here, we're going to come up with a class, then our model is going to be known as blog post like that, and then this is going to be using models.model like that, and then we're going to have now the different fields. So the first one is going to be the title. So our title is going to be a char field, so models.char field like that, and then we're going to set a max length of like 200. These are the different characters like that. Then we're going to have some content. So content is the description about the post. So we're going to call it content. And this field is going to be a text field. So models.text field. So text field like that. And then the other thing is going to be a published date. So published underscore date is going to be a datetime field. So models dot datetime field, this one. And then we're going to add auto add now true. So auto add now is going to be true like that. Okay, so once we do have that, or that auto add now means it is going to pick the time it has been created. So the moment you create a blog post, that time is added as the published date. Then the other one is published. So is published is just going to confirm whether that blog is supposed to be published. Okay, so is published is going to be a Boolean field. So we're going to have models.boolean field like that, and then we're going to have a default here, and we're going to say if you don't define that whether it is published, the default is going to be false. So you can create and it will always be false by default. So if you don't check it, then it will remain unchecked. Okay, then there is another field that we're going to add, because we need to have these blogs created by a particular person. Then we're going to bring in the aspect of a user. So we're going to bring in an author here, but our author is going to be a foreign key. So foreign key. So here, a foreign key, and this foreign key is going to be from the user model. So we need to import this user model. As I had earlier said, that we do have a built-in user model in Django that helps us to set up our authentication. So we usually don't set up a user model and start now creating the users. However, that can be done using custom authentication, but by default or using Django built-in authentication, we do have a user model already created. So first, we need to import it from Django contrib.auth.models. So we're going to say from Django.contrib.auth.models import, we're going to import the user like that. So that way, with the user, we can be able to fetch this particular author from the one who is logged in from the user authentication side. Okay, so we do have a user there, and then we are going to say, in case we delete these user, so we're going to bring in that. So when we delete this user, then we want everything to cascade. What does this mean? It means that once you delete a user, each and every record that they do have, then it's also going to be deleted. Then the other thing that we're going to add is a string representation function. So we're going to say def, then a string method here. So string, then like that, and then this is going to take in the self, and then down here we're going to return our string representation as self.title like that. Okay, so this is our complete blog model. Then we're going to first set up our database. So we do start by generating the migrations or the migration files. Then once we do have the migration files, then we use them to set up our database using migrate. So that is what we're going to do. So we're going to come here and Python manage.py, make migrations, enter. We do have something here. Models has no attribute. Did you mean model? Yes, I did mean model, that's for sure. So this one is capital M. Sorry, we do have model there. Okay, fine. Then let's do it again. Run the code. There it is. So the migration has been created. And if you have a look at these migrations, now we do have an inissue.py, which has just been generated. Okay, so now we're going to apply these migrations into our DB. So how we do that is we use Python manage.py migrate. Okay, now we are set. Now the next thing is we need to create a blog post form so that we can be able to fetch or to create the posts, right? So how we are doing it is, instead of us going to templates and setting up a form that is known as a HTML form, we're going to use another approach using model forms. So model forms, it actually allows us to create forms from the model to which we created already. So the different fields that we're going to have in our forms, they are going to be the exact fields that we do have in the model. So we're going to create a blog post form. Now to create forms, we usually create a file known as forms.py. So within our application, like here, we're going to create forms.py like that. So we're going to define our form. So with our form, this is the one that we're going to use in the creation of a post. So when we get to views and we are creating this view to create a post, then we'll be using this form over here. So to start with, we are going to first, we're going to import forms. So from Django, import forms like that. From Django, import forms. Then we're going to create our form, and this form is going to be created from the model that we just created, which is the blog post. So even before we continue, we're going to need this model, because in our class meta, which is let's first create the blog, and I'm going to show you. So we're going to create a class. So this class is now going to be the blog post form. So blog post form like that. And then we are saying we are not going to be using HTML forms. We're going to use model forms. So how we do it, it takes in forms dot model form like that. Okay, so from Django we import the forms. Then from the forms we're going to get the model form that allows us to create forms from the model that is relating to this form. Okay, so now once we have done that, you just add that. Then we do add a class meta. So a class meta is a class that is providing more information about the form or what is going to be contained in the form. So to start with, one of the things that we need is the model. So here we are linking to the model that we're going to use for the blog post form. Okay, so we need here to import our model. So we're going to say from .models import our model, which is blog post like that, blog post. So over here, I'm going to just say blog post like that. Okay, now there are other things that we need for this form, because ideally we don't want to create this form again in the HTML or in our template. All we need to do is just have the structure that we've already created in the form display really well on the template, but not the creation of the form all over again with all the inputs and so on. So to start with here, we're going to add all the fields that we need to create the form. So we're going to add the fields here. And for the fields, we're going to define them in a list. So the first one is going to be the title. Then we're also going to have the content. So you just add them the way they appear from the model. So we do have the content over there. And then the other thing that we're going to add, because we're not adding the published date, because published date is going to pick up from the time that we create the post. Again, we are not checking or we are not selecting the author, because it's going to pick the author who is logged in at that moment. So the other thing that we need to do is only to have is published with us. So is published. So this is where we check that the blog we want is we want to publish at that moment, right? You see the publish immediately that we saw. So that is going to be there. All right. So that is the other thing that we need for that blog post form. The other thing is we need widgets. So widgets, they define how the different content of the form or the different form inputs are going to look like. So we're going to create the widgets. So we're going to have the different things that we're going to have for the widget, and the first one is the content, like that. So for the content, how do we want it? So the content is going to be forms dot a text area, like that. And then this text area is going to pick in some attributes, like you define how is that text area going to look like. So our text area is going to look like this. So we're going to have some attributes. So the attributes are going to be equal to, then we add the list of the attributes. So we're going to say the rows that are going to be covered by this content area is going to be 10, like that. Okay, then we can also have some placeholder for it. So if we go back to our form here, so wish we can be able to open it. We already closed the site, so we can't be able to see that. So if we go back here, we can be able to add a placeholder, like for example, telling someone this is where you write your post. So we're going also to have that. So a placeholder inside that text area. So we're going to say there will be a placeholder, and this placeholder is going to be write your post here. You post, write your post here, like that. Okay. So now if I go back here, okay, so here is the widget that we would want to add. So for the content, the title is just going to be a basic input, and that is okay. But for the content, we would want to define what exactly is it going to look like, what amount of text area is it going to hold, and so on. Now we can be able to add something else. So aside from the widgets, we can add some labels. So some labels, these are just going to define what this input is all about. So we're going to create here labels. So labels equal to, then full the curly braces there. Then we're going to say for the title, we're going to have it known as post title, like that. Okay, then for the content, so content, we're going to have it be known as post content, like that. And then is published, so the is published section or field is published, we're going to say publish immediately. So the publish immediately here, publish immediately, like that. Okay, the next thing that we're going to have is help text. So help text, they help guide the user much better. For example, for a title, you would want them to add the best title for their blog post. So maybe something catchy. Then if for the published, you'd want to tell them like, check these if you want to publish the post immediately, something of the sort, just more information that can help them in their creation of the posts. So we're going to do that. So texts help texts equal to, then curly brace, then we can be able to add a list of the help texts here. So one, for the title, we're going to have a help text that says enter a catchy title, enter a catchy title, like that. Then we're going to have another one. This is for is published. So is published, and you can see everything is relating to what we created in the model. So with is published, then you're going to just explain how. So we can say check this to publish the post immediately, like that. Okay, so let's see immediately, like that. Then here we just remember to add a comma and we're good. Okay, another thing that you can do in the creation of your posts is to add some custom validation. For example, in our models.py, we defined that our title max length is 200. Like this, it can't go past 200. However, you also don't want a title that is two characters long. So you would want to say specifically the title should not be less maybe than 10 than 10 characters. So in your forms.py, you can be able to define, or you can come up with a function. So inside here, so outside the class meta, so class meta was giving more information, but now for the function, this is something else inside the form. So we're going to define it over here, and then we can come up with a function like known as clean title, like that. Then with clean title, it takes in self, like that. Then we can now define what is the clean title going to look like. So we're going to say the title is going to be the cleaned data, so we do get the title. And then we're going to say if that title is less than 10, then we're going to raise some validation error that is going to be the title must be at least 10 characters long. Then we can be able to return the title. So we're going to do that. So we're going to say title equal to, then we're going to say self.cleaned data like this dot get. So this function here is used to, the cleaned data dot get is able to get the title that we want to clean. So it's supposed to get the title from the form. Then once we get that title, then we're going to check if its length is actually title. So if its length is less than 10, then we're going to raise some validation error. And this validation error, we can get it from the forms, because as we said earlier, forms, they allow you to validate the user input. So this is one of the validations that you can be able to get from the forms. So we have this validation error, so validation error that we can get from the forms, and this validation error, we can be able to define it so that once you have a title that is less than 10, then this error is raised. So we can say title must be at least 10 characters long, like that. Okay, so then you can tab it here, then you can say return title. Okay, so that is how we can be able to come up with a function that, or a validation, a custom validation for our form, or a function to validate our form even further. Okay, so that is how we do create our form. Now I'd want us to go to views before you can even proceed to creating these templates for like this form here. So we're going to go to our views, and we're going to create a couple of views. And one of the views that we're going to create is one to display all the posts. So we're going to come up with a post list, so a function known as post list. This is a view for post list, like that. And then this post list is going to take in a request, like that. And then we're going to return, before we can return, we're going to access all the posts. So we're going to say posts equal to, then we're going to get all the objects from the model, so all the data from the model. So we're going to import from .models, import the model, which is blog post. So what we want to do is we want to access all the data from the blog post, and then we can be able to display it, or we return it as a response in this view post list. So we're going to come here and say blog post dot objects dot o function. This one is supposed to get me all the objects from the blog post model. Okay, now once we do this, then we can be able to return the template that is going to display these, right? So right now we don't have a couple of templates, we don't have them, so we're going to create them. So I'm going to just come up with a folder here known as templates, not inside migrations, it's supposed to be inside the application. So here we're going to create templates, like that. And then inside the templates, we're going to create another folder, so stating the name of our application. So it's going to be blogs. Then inside blogs is where we're going to create all the different templates for this application. So here we're going to add our first template. So the first one is going to be post list. So we're going to say post list.html, like that. And then another one is going to be post form. So here we're going to have the details for the form.html. Then another one is going to be post confirm delete. We're going to be adding data. So confirm delete.html. We're going to populate data later. So we do have the form, we do have the list, we also have the post detail to view more details about a post. So post underscore detail dot HTML, like that. Enter. Okay, so now we do have these templates here. So I'm going to come back here to my views. Then once I do get all the posts from the DB, then I'll come here and return render like that. And then here I'm going to pass in the request that we're getting. And then next we're going to have the name of the template. So it is blogs slash. So when we are returning our templates, we don't have to add the word templates, because by default Django already understands that we should be getting the different templates from a folder known as templates, and the templates should be written in small t like this. Okay, so by default it's going to get this. So what you need to define is the other folder, blogs, and then the name of the template here. So here we're going to have blogs slash post list. So post list like this. Then this data, because we are going to be adding it into a template, then we need to pass this data here as part of the things that we're going to render. So how we're going to do it is we're going to represent it like this. So we're going to have the word posts like that, and then it is going to be referring to the posts from the DB like that. Okay, so that is how we do create a post list or a post list view. Then with this post list view, we need a URL for it, right? Then we can proceed and populate the details on the post list over here. So we're going to come here and create URLs. So urls.py, enter. Okay, so I'm going to come here and define what is going to be found in the urls.py. So under the URLs, I'm going to, so from Django.urls, here we're going to import the path. So import the path like that. And then from here, we're going to import the views. So from dot import views like that. Okay. Then we're going to define the URL patterns. So URL patterns equal to, then it is a list. So we do path, then we define the different parts where we're going to view the different templates that we've created, all the different views. So when we go to localhost, I want us to view this particular view. So views dot post list, that one like that. And then we're going to come up with a name for the URL. So it is going to be post list. This is going to help us when we are linking the different routes. So for example, when we are in the list, we have read post, then we want to click on that read post and go to a detailed view. That linking there is going to be important from this path. So this naming is very important. Okay, so that is our first path, right? Now, for these URLs for our blog application, they won't be visible if we don't register them under here. So in urls.py for the project, you need to add them. So we're going to come here and add include like that. Then I'm going to come here and say path. Then I'm going to define the path. I can leave it empty so that when I visit localhost, I can always just access the URLs from my application. Then I'm going to include now the URLs from my application. So I need to bring in the name of the application. So blog app.urls. That is the name of my application, like that. Okay. So now when I start my server, let me do that. So python manage.py run server, enter. So if I visit my server, let me see here. Okay, I can close this. Okay, so you can see it says template does not exist at blogs underscore post list. So it means we have created the template here. We have created it, this one, but it contains nothing, right? So we need to populate something on this template so that it can now be displayed on the browser. Okay, so what we're going to do is these posts here for the blogs, we want them to inherit from a base template. So I'm going to come back here to templates and create a base. So base.html like that. So in this base.html, this is how we are going to add it. We're just going to add a structure over there, And then with this structure, we're going to define just a few things here. So for example, components that are going to be similar across all the pages. For example, the navbar and also the footer. So we're going to come here inside the body. So inside the body here, we're going to have the header section. So the header section is the topmost. In that topmost, we had a section that had the name of the website, which was my blog. And then on this other side, on the right side, we had now a simple navigation, which contained home if you were not logged in. But if you're logged in, it had home and create post. So here we're going to come up with a div, and then inside this div we're going to have the first section, which was my blog. So this is going to be just a simple h1. Later we're going to add some styling so that it looks good. So for now we're just going to have a div containing these two things. Then next is going to be a simple navigation, and in this navigation, which is going to contain home, and if someone is authenticated, the creation of the post, right? So for now I wanted to have the home before now we can proceed and create posts, like the view and the path for it. So I'm going to have an href, so an anchor tag like that. Then here we're going to link the URL. So we're going to use now the path name. So if you go back to the URLs here, you see we gave it a name. So this is the name that we use to link over here. So we just use these tags. So you just do like this, and then you add template tags like that, and then you define URL. You say that is a URL, and then the name of the URL. So our URL is post underscore list, like that. So essentially when you click on this anchor tag, it's supposed to take you to where we do have the post list. So that is going to be our home. So later we're going to adjust this navbar so that at least we have the create post be visible when we do have someone who is authenticated. So we're going to come back to this. So this is the section for the header. Then down here we're going to have a main content space. So main, like that. So we're just going to use that, and then I'm just going to leave it like this. However, there is something that I would want to add. So base template is supposed to be inherited by other templates, in that it should, or the other templates should inherit whatever it has, and whatever the new templates are going to have, then we need to define at what section is that data going to be displayed, right? So this is what we're going to display over here. So in this main, we're going to add something known as block content. So we just do like this, block content, like that. And then down here, we're going to close the tags. We just use end block, like that. So any content that is going to be added from the other template, it should be displayed under this section main, meaning the header will always be showing in this, in any template. And then main, the new content we have in the new template. And then down here we're going to have our footer. So let me create a footer here. So footer, and then inside the footer we're just going to have a copy. So like this, copy. So that one provides an art. Then we're going to add the ear. So we're just going to define it like this now. Then we just add the ear like that. So if you just add it like this, it's supposed to get you the year that we are at right now, then the name of my blog, like that. So it's going to add an art, then the year that we are in right now, and then the name of the website, which is my blog. Okay. Now we do have a base template with us. Another thing that we can do is to adjust these titles so that when we get to any template, then we can be able to showcase the exact title for that page. So for now, it's going to retain, let's use my blog, like that, my blog, but we're going to open it up so that in each and every template we can define our own title. So what we do is we just add these template tags like this, then we add blog title inside here. So blog title, like that. Then at the end here we're also going to add the same and say end block, like that. Okay, so that is how we go about adding a base template. So from this base template, each and every template that we're going to have, instead of creating it from scratch, then or adding this structure from scratch and redoing something like the header every now and then we just focus on the main content specific to that template. Okay, so now I want us to create the post list template. All right, so we're going to move to the blogs. Actually, we can make this blog instead of blogs. So we rename this to blog like that. Then we need to adjust. So in the views, instead of blogs, it is blog. Then we're going to come back to the blog and open. So we're going to go to the post list. So we just need to display the data that we've gotten from the DB. So all the posts, they are actually stored like this. So on the views, you can see once we access all the posts, we store them under this variable posts, and they are going to be represented using posts, right? So now we're going to come here, post list. And then now instead of us having to create the entire structure again in terms of the template inheritance that I just mentioned earlier with the base.html, this is what you do. So you just come here and add the tags like that, and then you just say extends, then you say the template to which it extends. So it extends HTML template like that. Okay, so everything that is found in the base.html, then it's going to be used in this template, which is post list. Okay, then we're going to add the contents or the title specifically for this page. We would want it to be different. So here, using the block title, so you just say block title like that. Then you can come here and say this is my blog posts. So blog posts like that, and then we can just end block for the title here. So end block like that. So it means for the title for this post list page, it's going to be blog post. That is the title of the page, right? And if you don't define any title, then the base is going to have my blog like that. Okay, so that is it for the blog title and also the part where we are inheriting. Now the other thing is we need to add maybe a header section on the top. So for the blog posts, so we can come up with a section here. So before we populate the details, so we can have a section, and in this section we're going to have a div, and in this div we're going to have a h2 that is saying my blog posts, or just the title, so blog posts like that. And then here we can have a p tag that says read the latest posts like that from our website, like that. Okay, fine. Higher. Then that is the div section at the top. Now let's go to another section, or we create another section down here. Before we can proceed, I need to add blog content over here. So here, like this, blog content. Like that. Okay, so let me explain what I'm doing here. So with the blog content added here, it means this is the content now that is going to be specific to this template, right? So when I add blog content, it matches with whatever that I had defined here on the base.html, but any blog content is going to be added in between here. So this is where we do have data or content specific to a template or a page like that. Okay, so that specific data, we still have to enclose it with these so that it can be rendered over here. Okay, so we come back here and we are going to end block. It's good to end it here even before you can continue writing your code so that you don't forget, like that. So we do have a first section at the top. Let's add our second section. So with this second section, this is where we are going to have, so in the second section here, this is where we're going to display all our posts. Okay, so we are going to loop through these posts. A single post, it is like an object. It contains the title, it contains the content, is published, the author, and so on. So over here, for us to display these posts one after the other, then we have to loop through. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in these template tags. So we're also going to use them for looping. So we just say for posts in posts, like that. Then we can use a tag here known as article. So an article, it represents like a blog post. Then inside the article, we can be able to define the different sections of the article. So one, we can come up with a section where we have like the div, a div that is showing the details about the card, and then we can be able to have another div that is showing the different actions that you can take for that particular blog. So for example, what I mean is, in this article we're going to have two sections, so this separation is also going to help us in the styling. Okay, so in the first div here, we're going to have we can do, what did we do here? We did a h2, so here we are going to do a h3. So with a h3 here, we can say this is going to be the post title. So here we display post dot title, like that. So ideally we're going to access every post from this loop, and from every post I want us to display the post dot title, like that. Okay, so once we do a h3, then we are going to adjust this h3 later for it to be a link such that we can be able to click it to go to the detailed view of the post. So we're going to come back to that. So that is the first section. Then from this div, from the h3 here, we're going to have another p tag that is showing the details about the post. So again, because we have a detailed view, we are not going to showcase everything. So we're going to truncate some characters so that we don't show everything. So how we're going to do this is post.content. So post.content, and then we are going to add truncate chars, like that. Then we define the value to which we want to truncate. So we're going to say 200. So ideally what this happens is, if I just say post.content, then all the content is going to be displayed. But again, we don't want to display all the posts there. We want to have a page that we can see the detailed view of the post. So here we are truncating the data to 200 characters, like that. Okay, higher. So that is the first section. Then we're going to come up with another div here. Before we can proceed, there's also something else that we had when we saw the title. We had there, we had also another section for the content now that was truncated to this number of characters. Then down there we had the details about who published, or when it was published actually. So that was the published date. So we're going to add, we can use the small tag. So this makes the text appear smaller. So we're going to say published on, then we can bring in the date here. So from the post, so post dot published, so we have published underscore date, like that. Okay, fine. So we do have the date showing over there, and we're good to go. Sorry. Okay, so that section there is done. Then we do have another section of this article where we do have the actions. So we're going to come here and add a div. So in this div, this is where we're going to have the different actions. So the first action is going to be reading the post, and reading the post is going to be linking to a detailed view of the post. So what we're going to do is, we're first going to add an anchor tag at the moment. So this anchor tag, it's going to be left empty for now, but it is going to be read post. Why are we leaving it empty at the moment? It's because we don't have the detailed view of the post. So that requires us to come up with a particular view, and then in this view we can be able to render a template that shows the detailed view of the post. Okay, so that is the first thing. Then the other thing is going to be edit and delete. So with these two, they only appear when someone is authenticated. So there we're going to come back and adjust accordingly. So for now, we are going to loop them in a div, both of them, and then the first one is going to be let's do that, and it's going to be edit, like that. And then the second one, so another anchor tag here, we add a hashtag for now, and then this is going to be delete. Okay, so that is how we're going to have our posts. At the moment it is not going to look the best. However, when we populate the list, or we add even the styles and all that, then this is going to make sense. Okay, so at the moment we don't have anything, so I feel like we need to show, if we don't have the data, for example this 4 here, so if we don't have the data, then what is going to be displayed, right? So this is the article that is going to display. However, if we don't have the data, so we're going to say, come up with another div over here, then we're going to say h3 no no blog posts, no blog posts yet, like that. Okay. Hiya. So that is what you can do. Then okay, so that is what we're going to show. However, there is one more thing that we've not done. So we have started the for loop, so we need to close it. So how are we going to close it? We started it inside the section. So still inside the section is where we're going to close it. So inside here, I'll come here and end for. So the tags and end for, like that, enter. So now I want us to go and check whether our template now exists and what it renders. So we refresh. So we still have an issue. So the template does not exist. So let me see what would be the issue. We did call it post list.html. So why is it not accessible? So on the views, it is under blog. Okay, let me restart the server. So like that. We go back, refresh. Still, it's not showing. Let me see. So we do have, this does not exist. Why exactly? Because we do have it. So let's come back here. Post underscore list dot html here, dot html, like that. Okay, so we come back, refresh. It should be okay. So no reverse match at post list is not a valid view function or pattern name. So post list not found. So this is not a valid view or function. So this is over here, post list. So this is on the URL. There is no matching URL like that. So you just come here and adjust. So we do have a post underscore list. So why exactly is it failing to be displayed here? So let's see. No, it's on the base.html. Post underscore list here. Let's go back, refresh. Nice. So here it is. So we have my blog, and then we do have home. So this is still the same page. Then we do have the blog posts. So read the latest post from our website. So let me see, on post list we had this, read the latest posts from our website, and then there is this section that we said no blogs yet. So what we didn't do is we didn't check if totally it is empty. So what we should do is we need to check here if it is empty. So what you do, you just add this template tag empty, like that, and then this should be able to check if this list is empty, or if the DB is empty, it does not contain any posts. So once it does not contain any posts, then this section is going to be displayed. No blog posts yet. So I come back here, refresh. You can see no blog posts yet. So this is how we do have these. Now I want us to add some blogs from the Django admin, and then we can just test out how they are going to be displayed here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first create a super user. So come back here, Control C, then Python manage.py create super user. This is going to allow us create super user, enter, then I'm going to use Wamboy, and I'm going to add wamboy@gmail.com, enter. Then I'm going to add a very simple password. Then yes, then the super user has been created successfully. Then the other thing that I'm going to do is, because I need to use the admin Django administration to add some blogs so that we can be able to view them, then I'm going to come here to admin, then I'm going to register my model here. So for it to be visible on the Django administration panel, then you need to register it from here. So we're going to say from .models import blog post, like that. Then I'm going to come here and say admin.site.register, like that, and then I'm going to specify what I'm going to be registering in the admin dashboard or in the admin panel. So there it is going to be our blog post model. Now I'm going to start my server. So Python manage.py run server, enter. Now with the run server, we are able to view the outcome here. Now I can go to urls.py for the project here, You see, there was the first one, which was /admin. This is provided by default in Django. So it allows you to interact with the Django admin panel or the backend of your system before you can be able to create a proper front end that is covering everything. So if you just visit /admin, then you can be able to access your admin panel. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. Then I'm going to add admin over there. And then I'm going to log in with the credentials that I just created. So it was one boy and that was the password. Then log in. So here you can see we do have the blog posts part with the blog app here. So on the blog posts, I can be able to add a blog post. So I can come here and say introduction to CSS. So I can come here and say CSS stands for cascading style sheets. So cascading styles sheets like that, and it's used to add styles to your HTML structure like that. Okay, so is it published? I want to publish it, right? I am author, so I'll come here and select that. The author who is here or who is logged in is our author, then save, because we don't have any other user, and there it is. So if I refresh, you can see we do have the blog post over here. So if I come back here and refresh, you see I do have now the post introduction to CSS, and here it is. Then you can see it is published on a certain date. Then there's read, post, and edit and delete. You see everything is not styled nicely, so we're going to be styling much later. Okay, so we do have the read, post, and edit, and also delete. Let's work on the read post. So read post, it opens a detailed view of the post. Okay, so here we're going to come up with a view. So over here we're going to create our next view, which is the post detail view. So with the post detail view, we need to access the specific view. We need to access the specific post. So we're going to say def post detail like that. And then this one is going to take in the request, yes, but it's also going to take in the post ID. So what is the ID of the post? And then each and every time that you create a new record on your DB, it's given a unique ID. So we're going to be accessing that post using its primary key or the ID that it had been given. So we're going to say post equal to, then we bring in a function that is used in Django that allows us to get a specific object. So with these, we usually get it from the shortcuts here. So it is get object or 404 like that. So you get a specific object or 404 in case it's not there. Then what we are going to be getting is from the blog post model, and we're going to be accessing a particular post using its primary key, which is going to be equal to the post ID that we are taking in like that. Okay, so then we're going to return render, then it takes in the request like that, and then it's going also to have the structure or the template that it's going to use, which is blog slash post. We created it here. It is post underscore detail. So post underscore detail dot html like that, and it's going to be using a post. So it's going to be using a post. So we're going to have posts like this, and this post that we're going to use in our template is going to be representing the posts that we get from the DB. Okay, so that is how we do get the post detail. Now the next thing that I want us to do is we go to the URLs. So we create a URL path for the detailed view. So we're going to come back to the URLs here. We're going to add a path. So we're going to say for this path, we just want to view the specific post. So we are just going to say here, we just bring in the specific ID of that post, right? So if I click on read post, then it is able to fetch the ID and open it and display its details, right? So here I'm just going to say int like that, and then I just do post underscore ID like that. So here we're just going to use our ID, and which is going to be an integer. So that is essentially what it means. So with that, then you just add a slash there. Then we're going to bring in the view. So views dot post detail like that. Then we're going to give a name. So name equal to then we're going to have a name known as post detail, like that. So there it is. So that is our path. Now the next thing that is remaining is now a proper template that is going to display this post detail in a nice way. So we're going to come here and create our template. So our template here, which is post detail, we're going to populate it with a few details on how the specific post is going to look like. So first, it's going to be inheriting from. So here extends, then it extends from base.html. That's for sure. So that it can be able to pick the footer and also the nav bar from it. Then come down here. We're also going to have our own title for that page. So we're going to have block title, like that. Then we're going to have an end block. So end block. Then inside this block title, we're going to have a title for this page, and this page is going to be the specific title. So we're going to have here, instead of it being something that we define, we can say this is going to be the specific post title. So we can say post dot title here is going to be the title of that particular page. So if the title is actually like introduction to Django, when you open it, then on the title it shows that that is introduction to Django blog. Okay, now I'll come here and add blog content. So blog content, this allows us to add the content for this specific page. Then I can be able to end block here. So just to lock in that, so end block, then here like that. So inside the block content, I'm going to define how we're going to display the content. One, we're going to have it in an article. So it is only one article, right? So in this article, this is where we're going to display the title and also the details about the post, right? So probably the title, the content, and when it was published. Then down there, we can even have options to edit or even to delete in the detailed view. Okay, so here I'm going to have a division. So in this division, I'm going to have the top to have the title and also when it was published, then the down to have the content, and then we're going to display the edit and delete also down there. Okay, so this division is going to come in handy once we start styling this application. Okay, so we're going to have a div here that is displaying a h2, and this h2 is the post's title. So I'm going to come here and say posts.title. Again, here we are not looping through because we're only displaying the details about one post. And from the view here, we're only getting one post. So ideally here, when we are displaying the details, is just now get the specific thing that you want to display. Then that is a h2. When it was published is still going to be small. So published on, then we can bring in the post here. So post dot published date, like that. Okay, so once we do have that div, we are going to create another div here. So this div is going to contain now the content. So the content is going to be we can just say maybe a normal p tag, like that. So we just do a p tag, then we can do the content. So we can say post post here, post dot content. So there is going to be our content. Then after this div, down here, we're going to have another div. So with this div, it's only going to contain the two anchor tags. So which is, one is going to be for edit, like that. So when you click on that edit, it should open a way for you to edit the specific post. Then the other one is going to be delete. So we're going to have here delete. So delete over there. So that is how our page is going to look like. So anything that is pending, I don't think so. Then we can always have a link to back to the posts. Okay, so after the article here, we can come here and create an anchor tag that is going to take us back. So we bring in the URL. It should take us back to all the other posts, and that can happen like this. So URL, then we bring in the URL for the post list. So post underscore list, like that. Okay, Now this is supposed to be back to all post or post like that. Okay, so once I click on the post detail, then it should be able to take me here. Now I can go back to the post list, this one. Then now on the read posts, I should be able to link to that URL. So now we do have a URL, a new URL. So let's remember this. So here we do have URL, then we bring in the URL for the detailed view of the post. So the URL name is what we have over here, this post detail. So we just come back here to the post list and attach it here. So post underscore detail is the name of that URL that we want to click and read posts. So once we click on read post, it should open this post detail view where we see more details about the post. Okay, so now we do have some issue here. Okay, so this path, let me go to URLs and confirm whether we have any issue. So we do have int, I don't think we do have any issue. It's actually here. Okay, all right, so view is a callable what exactly? I don't think there's any issue, but let's confirm. So I'm going to Control C, then run the server again. Then I'm going to go back to my refresh. So there is something. Reverse for post detail with no arguments not found. So one person tried. Oh, okay. So I need to add the ID. So if I come back here to my post list here, you need to add the post ID here and add post.id like that. So if we just come back here, refresh, then here it is. So if I click on read posts, you see now we see the detailed view about the post. So we do have the post when it was published and then the details about it. Then we do have the edit and delete. So let's now move on to edit. So how can we be able to edit? But before we edit, let's see how we can be able to create. So over here, I'm going to add a create post, which is a link, and it should only be available for a user that is authenticated. So let's adjust that. So we're going to come back to our navbar now. So here on base, like this. So over here, we do have another anchor tag. So in this anchor tag is the one that we are going to have create post, and we're going to define the different things that we need for the create post and how we create it. But for that create post to be visible, the user must be authenticated. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an anchor tag. Yes. So this anchor tag, we are going to have a hashtag right now. So this is going to be create post like that. And then this create post over here is going to be only visible. Right now, if you check, create post has appeared. Here it is, but we want it to be visible only for users who are logged in. If one is logged out or there is no user who is logged in, then they cannot be able to see this. So here we're going to add a condition. So we're going to add if user dot is authenticated. So if user is underscore authenticated like that, underscore is authenticated like that, then this is when they can be able to see this like that. Then we can be able to end if here. Okay, so this one should only be visible if the user is authenticated. So let's test that. We come back here, refresh. It's there because we are actually logged in here. We do have an access as one boy. So let's log out. So if we refresh, you see, we are logged out right now. Come back here, refresh. You see the create post is not visible. So it's only going to be visible for all the users who are only authenticated. And authentication is being done using this Django admin site for now. So one boy, and then I'm going to log back in, then log in, then I come back here, then refresh. I should be able to have create post. Now let's work on this area of the create post. So I want us to start working on a view. Okay, so we're going to create a post, and when we are creating a post, we're going to use the blog post form that we created because that is the one that is going to bring the specifics of what we need in that form. Okay, or in this particular view. Okay, so here we're going to say def create post. So this is just a function or the view. So it's going to take in the request like that. When we are creating a post, we are actually making a post request. So we are like sending data into the server. So the first thing that we need to check if the request that we are making, if the request that we are making is actually post, meaning we are trying to send data to the server like this, then we should be able to proceed and create an instance of the form. So we're going to say form equal to, then blog post form. So we need to import, so from dot forms import blog post form, like this. Okay, so now if I come back here, form, so blog post form, like that, and then this blog post form is going to be used, or it is going to take in the request of the post like that. Okay, so we're going to create an instance of the form using the blog post form, all the details that we said in the form. So we create it for posting like that. Then if we're going to check for validity of the data that we've added in the form, right? So we filled the form for posting. Then we need to check if that form is valid. So form dot is valid. So we're going to say is valid. So if everything that you have added in that form is okay, what is going to happen? So we're going to create an instance of the post. So we're going to say form post equal to form dot save, like that. So it's a function. Then we're going to come here and we're going to say the post dot author. So who is going to be the author of the post? It's going to be the user who is logged in. So requests.user, like that. So then we're going to save that post. So save, and then we can be able to display some messages like your post has been created successfully and so on. So for these messages, we're also going to display them in our various templates. We're going to adjust that so that the messages can be visible. So one, for the messages, they are actually built in Django, in that we can be able to import them from Django and use them. So messages is like error messages, success messages, like creation of something, any errors that you run into. So Django already handles those messages. So you just need to import them into your various places where you need to use them. So how you import them is from Django.contrib import messages, like that. So with the messages, now from messages, you can be able to create a message of a successful post created. So here we are going to say messages. So from messages, we're going to get the success messages. So a success function like this, and then you add. So what does this success message? It takes the request that you made, and also it also takes your specific message. So your post has been created, like that. So that is how we're going to have our message. All right, then once we do have the message, the other thing is immediately we do create a post. This means it's a successful creation of the post. What is going to happen? So once I create a post, we redirect back to the post list. So I click on create post or save, then it redirects me to the list of the other posts. So we're going to say return, and we're going to redirect. So instead of render here, we're going to import redirect. So redirect is a redirection to another page. So once we just hit, or the form is valid and everything is okay, then we just redirect. So we redirect, and where do we redirect? We're going to redirect to, we can either go back to the post list or we go to the post detail. So we are going to redirect to post detail, in that one can be able to edit even or delete. Okay, so then we're going to say the post underscore ID is going to be equal to the ID of that post, like that. Okay, so basically the post detail, we're just accessing it with the specific ID of that post. Okay, so once we've created this post, then it has been created on the DB, right? Once it has been created on the DB, then it has been given a unique ID. So on this redirect post detail, it means we're going to open up the detailed view of the the post that you've just created and just show you the details about that post. Okay, so that is if the form is valid. Then we don't need to define if it is not valid. Then we're going to come back here. If we are not making a post request, meaning we are not trying to send the data, right? You know, post is you want to create. What should happen? We should only be displaying the form. So you just create an instance of the form here, like that. But the moment you have created the form and you have filled the form and you want to send, then it means you're making a post request and this is going to be triggered, right? So once we do have these, then we can come down here and then we can say return render, so which is the page that is going to display all these details, or which is the page that has the form with all these details. So we're going to return render text in request, and this is where we're going to have now the form. So we're going to say post underscore form.html is going to be visible here, and then what is also going to be passed over here is the form, because everywhere now in the post form will be referring to the form, so that we can get even the different fields from the form. So the form is having everything that we need to create the HTML template for the form. So that is also what we're going to pass here as the context. So here we're going to have form is going to be used, and this form is going to be referring to the form that we are getting from the blog post form. Okay, so that is how we do create posts view for the blog application that we are creating. So I want us to create a URL for these, and then we can proceed and populate the post form. All right, so on URLs, then I'm going to add another path here. So come down here, then we're going to add a path. And now in this path, it's just going to be known as create. So it will just allow us to create. So like that. And we're going to return dot create post like that. And then we're going to give this view or this path a name, sorry. So equal to, we're going to call it create underscore post like that. Okay, fine. So we do have the create now. So I want us to go to the post form, and we're going to define, or we're going to create a structure for how this post form is going to look like. To start with, it's still going to be extending. So extends base.html like that, base.html. Then we're going to have the block title. So block, so we can remove this, then block, just some spacing, title, then we add that. Then for the block title here, we can be able to have the detail about the post. So we can just say new post, something of the sort. Then we can end here. So end block like that. Okay, fine. Then we're going to add now the content. So we're going to have block content like that. Then you can come down here and we're going to have end block. Fine. Okay, so we do have block content and then we do have end block. So for the H1, so here on the top here, or rather whatever everything that we're going to create, we can come up with a div, and then inside this div we can have different divs or for the sections. So we can have the first div on the top there. So we can say the first div is going to contain maybe a H2. So H2 that is saying creating a post, or create a post, or it just would be create a new post. Let's say create a new post like that. Okay, so that is the section at the top. Then the other section is going to be the form. So we're going to use form tag directly. So we just say form tag. Then we're going to remove this action, and instead of this action we're going to have a method that we're going to use, which is post like that. Okay, so with this down here we need to add the tag here for the CSRF token. So this is going to prevent any sort of attacks using the form. So we add it like this. So CSRF underscore token, like that. Okay, fine. Higher. Now we want to display the different fields, but because we already contain that data in a form, we're not going to add the fields again. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop through the form to access each and every field and display it accordingly. So we're going to say for a field in form, like that. For a field in form, then we're going to come here, enter. Okay, so now we need to see what are the different fields that we have in this form and how do we display them. So if you remember, if we go back to the forms here, we do have a couple of fields, that is the exacts of the different fields that we do have. But then we do have the widget. So this is just explaining how the content part is going to look like. But we do have the labels, and also we do have the help texts. So these things are supposed to be visible, right? So let's see how we can be able to create this post form to display each one of them. So over here, we're going to have for field in fields, then we need to display the field. So we're going to say field like that. And then each and every field, we do have the label for it. If you remember, on these forms, there is this section for the label. So we do have title, we do have it as post title, content as this and that. So that label comes first. So how we add that is, before we can be able to display the field, then we can come here and we can bring in the field dot label tag. So that label tag is able to access for us the label for the specific field. Okay, so we do have field, and also we do have the field label tag and the field, like that. And then we need to add the field help text, right? So if there is a field help text, then we need to include it. So we'll come here and check. So you need to check if there is field like that. So we're just going to say if field dot help text, so help text like that. If field dot help text, then we're going to display the field help text. So we're going to use some small tag, so small tag like that, and then inside here we're going to display the help text like that. So we do field dot help text. So this basically means if you do have any help text in your field, then display it over here. Okay, so we can be able to display everything. Chat we loop now. Let's loop it using a div. So we can cut that and paste. So for field in form, then inside the div, display the label, display the field, and if there is any help text, then display it over there. Then we can close the if, so we just say end if. So end if like that. Okay, so anything else that we've not closed is the for. So I'll come here and close the for. So we just end for like that. Okay, so there we do have our simple posts form. So let's see whether we can be able to access it. So for example, how is the flow? So we go back to post list. So here is for post detail. So on top here, in the base.html, this is where we have the navbar. We do have this section for creating a post. So for this create post, I want us to bring in now the URL that we got for creating posts. This one, create post here. So I'll come here into my base.html. Then I'm going to add the URL. So like that. And then I'm just going to say URL, then create post like that. Okay, fine. So that is create post. So let's go back and refresh like this, then click on create posts. You see it opens for me a simple form. So it has the post title, we have the post content, it has publish immediately. What we don't have is actually a button here to save. So this save button is supposed to be used for submission. So we come back here and inside our form, let's go back to our form. So outside our form, actually, so the moment we've ended for, it should be inside the form, by the way. So we just come here and add, so that it can be part of the form and looking nice. And also because it's submitting the form, so it's supposed to be part of the form. Okay, so we're going to say save post like that. Then we're going to say type is actually submit like that. Okay, so we're going to come back here, refresh. We do have our save like this. Okay, so let's test and see whether we can be able to create a post. So here is my form. Let me test it. I've just zoomed it out for easier visibility. So I'll come here and add a title. So introduction to JavaScript. JavaScript is the title of my blog. Then I'm going to just write a little bit about JavaScript. So JavaScript is a language that adds interactivity to our websites. Okay, then we can say publish immediately and then save post. So if we save post, nothing is happening actually. And if I go back home, then we can see nothing is being displayed as the post that we've created. So let me go back to how we are creating our blog. Let me find out what's the issue. So from here, the form is okay. It's actually taking the post method. And these are the details. We do have the button as the submit type. So let's go to my view of creating. So here we do create a post. If request, here we do have dot method. So if the request dot method, the method that we're using is post, then we create a form. We send the form that we have filled. Then if the form is valid, then we save the form. Okay, so let's do that. Let's test it again. Let's try again, refresh, try again. I'll come here and do the same. Introduction to JavaScript. Then I'll just write again, JavaScript is a language that allows us to add interactivity to our websites like that. Then we can post immediately, save. Now at least we are moving. So the other thing is integrity error at create. So we actually created, or the post method went through, but there is an issue with the blog post auth ID. So not now constraint field at auth ID. So let's see on the creation here. So we're checking if the form is valid, if all the credentials that you've added, then post form.save, then post.author request.user. Okay, so by the time we are saving a post, we have already created a post via the form.save. So over here, so this is where we need to adjust. We need to bring in commit equal to false. So commit equal to false like that. So for this commit equal to false, it actually tells this form, or as we save the form, we are saving the form to this post. Before you save to the database, wait, don't save to the database yet. Let's attach the author of this post. So if whatever we had here without the commit equal to false, it was saving the form. So the form was going with a null field, which is the author, yet we need to store even the author. So by the time we are saving the post, it should have the author, but initially the form was saving without the author. So ideally, this commit equal to phase, it is telling the database, don't save to the database yet, wait, so that I can attach the author and then I can proceed and save the post. So once I do this, let me go back and test again. So I'll just refresh. So continue. And here it is. You see, the post has been created successfully. And if you remember, here we said once we create a post here, we redirect to post detail. And the post detail is what we are seeing over here. So this is the post detail, the detail about a certain post. This is post number 3. So if I go back to all posts, you can see now we do have this post here, introduction to JavaScript. We can be able to read the post. Here it is, and we can be able to go back to all the posts. Now, that is how we create a post or how we can be able to add a post. Then I want us to move to the next thing, which is edit. Now with edit, I want us to, when we click on edit, I want us to open the same form like create posts, this one, but it should be auto-filled with data, right? So with the create, it's coming empty, but with the edit, so if we come back here, with the edit, we want, when we open edit, then it is populated with the data, and then we can be able to edit and save. So to start with, I want to adjust this create post so that it is used for editing as well. Okay, so I want us to do that. Right, so we're going to go to our template, this form here, then we're going to adjust it. So on this post form, it is for creating a new post, so we want to adjust it such that it displays edit post on the title if we are editing, and also here on the H2 we want it to also show about the editing of a post if we are editing, because we essentially want to use the same form for both editing and creation. So for this title here, by now it's doing new post only, so we want it to check if there is an instance of the form that has already been created, then it shows edit post. Otherwise, just shows the new post. Same thing over here. So if we already have an instance of the form created, then it is going to show edit post. And if there is no any instance of the form, then it shows create a new post. So let's do that. So we're going to bring in a conditional statement here, which is going to be if form dot instance. So if form dot instance dot pk, like that, if there is a form, and pk is for primary key. You see, you have to identify the form specifically using a unique id. So if form dot instance dot pk, then we are going to say edit post, like that. Now once we edit post, then we're going to bring in an else. So here we just do else. So else, like that, we're going to show new post, like that. So that means the title is going to change according to the existing of a form, or if a form instance does not exist, then we're going to show new post. That is okay. So let's now adjust our heading over here. So we're also going to do the same. So in this H2, we're going to bring in an if statement. So here we're going to say if form dot instance, if form dot instance dot pke, if there it is, then we're going to say edit post, then else create post, like that. So else create post, and that's okay. So this H2 should change according to exact thing that we are doing. I want us to move on to the views. So here, I want us to create a view. The view that we do have at the moment here is for creating a post. Now I want us to do for editing a post. So for editing, you need to fetch the specific post and come and edit it. Okay, so here it is. So I'm just going to do update post, update underscore post, like that. This is going to take in the request, and also it's going to take in the post ID that we are editing, right? Like that. Okay, so update post takes in the request that we're making to update the post, and then the post ID. So we are updating a specific post. So the first thing that we need to do is to get the post. So post equal to, then we are going to get object or 404, so 404. So this is basically accessing the post that we need to edit. So we're going to get it from the blog post model, like that, and our PKE is going to be equal to post underscore ID, like that. Okay, so this is going to be our primary key. So our primary key is going to be equal to the posts underscore ID. The next thing is going to be a validation, where we are going to check if the user who is currently logged in is equal to the author of that post. Then if they are not, then they do not have the right permissions to edit that post. So let's add that. So we're going to check for a condition. So if request dot user, the person who has made the request to access these posts for editing, if that user is not equal to one who created the post, the author of the post, then we are going to display some error message. So we're going to say messages.error, and then we can be able to say the request, then comma, then the actual message, which is going to be, you do not have the right permissions. You do not have the permission to edit this post, like that. Okay, then once we do these, we can redirect them. So return redirect them to the post detail view. So we just come here and just do post detail. So post detail, and then the post that you're going to see, so the post ID is going to be equal to the post.id, like that. So you can only see the details of the post, but you can't be able to edit it. All right, so that is the first thing that we need to check. The other thing is, because we are editing, of course, we're going to be making a post method, like you edit and then you send. So the next thing that we're going to check, if the request.method, if request.method is equal to post, like that. So if it is post, then we're going to create a form instance. So we're going to say form equal to, then blog post form, this one, and then this is going to take in the request.post, like that, and then a comma, then we are going to create an instance of the post, like that. Okay, so here we are going to create an instance of the form from the blog post that is taking in the post request, right? So if the request is post, so we create an actual form, and then down here we're going to check for validity of the form. So here, so if the form is valid, meaning if everything has been written correctly, if form dot is valid, so is underscore valid, if form is actually valid, like that, then we're going to save the form. So form.save, like that. Okay, fine. Then we can be able to display a message, a success message, that the form has been edited successfully. So dot success, like that, then takes in the request, and then we can be able to say your post been edited, like that. Okay, can leave it at that. So that is how we go about it. So one, we create an instance of the form if you're making a post request. So the form that we've created, we create everything. So if we are posting, we create that form, and that form is going to be a post instance. Then if the form is actually valid, if everything that we filled is checked against the requirements or the validation of the input, then we save that form. Then once we save, we can be able to showcase this message that your post has been edited successfully. Then once we do that, we can be able to redirect. So once we edit, we need to redirect to the post details so that we can see the new view, or the new post, like the edited version of the post. So we're going to still redirect to the detail view. So here we're going to say post underscore detail, and then we can still retain post underscore id is equal to post dot id, like that. Okay, so there it is. So that is how we are going to post. Then let's come here and say else. What is going to happen? Else we're just going to display the form equal to, but now it's not going to be empty, it's going to be containing the instance of the old form, right? So because this is for editing, we're opening the form for editing, so it's going to contain the post. So before we edit, but if we edit, so we add all the details that we need to edit, so this is how it's going to go like. So we're going to add the details, we send them, we check whether the details that we've sent, they are valid, then we save the form, then we give the success message of the post has been edited. So if we are not editing, or if we are not sending anything as the edited version of the post, just display the form with the details of the post initially. So this is why we have instance is equals to post. Then what is going to happen is, so we're going to return render. So we're going to still return the post form again with the form details. So render. So this is going to take in the request like that. And then the form, we're going to add it here as the template, blog/post underscore form .html, like that. And then we are going to use the context, so which is form, like that. So our form is going to be equal to the form that we have created from this bit here, or this bit here. Okay, so that is how we do create our update post view. So let's go back to our URLs and create a path for it. So here we're going to create a path for the edit. So we're going to say path. Then what we are editing, we are actually editing a specific post. So we're going to copy this. So we access the post and then we edit it. So like that. Then we add a comma like that. So it's going to be views dot. So for this one, it's update post, like that. And then the name for it is going to be update post. So here, update underscore post. So that is going to be our path. So we do have post ID. This is the specific post. We click this, so it goes to this path, and this path allows us to edit the post. Okay, so now I want us to go to where we have the edit. So we do have a post list. So post list, we do have this edit section here. So here we're going to adjust it so that we can input the URL for editing. So here we're going to have URL, then we're going to have update post. It was update post, like that. And then we're still going to use post ID, like that. Okay, so that is for editing. Then let's see whether there was another instance of the edit. So under post detail, we also had the same. So I'm going to come back here and copy this and also include it on the post detail. So over here, paste it like that. So paste it like that. Okay, so we do have the editing to be done there. So that's it. Let's go back to, so we have an error. Let's restart, run the server again, come back here, Chrome, so refresh. We do have our post here, so we do have the read post still working. Okay, then we can go back. So there is the edit, so you click on edit. So there is an issue. So there is an invalid tag on line 3 ed block. So did you forget to register or load this tag? So where is it? So we do have on edit update. So let's see where specifically it is. Here we didn't add end block. So let's go back to our form here. So with our form, we do have end block. So we do have block content here, 5. We also have end block. So what exactly is the issue? So we do have edit post. New post, then end block. Oh, we didn't end if. Okay. So here we didn't end if. So we just close it like this, then end if. Okay, like that. So let's go back, refresh. We still don't have. Okay, so we do have end block here. So it expected end if. Did you forget to register? Okay, so we do have. Let's go back. So we do have, oh, this section here also we didn't end if. So here we're going to end if. and if, like that. So if you just create some space. Okay, so for these tags, when you open it like this, if, then you ensure that you have closed it. Same applies to the for. So when we opened the for loop, then you have to end for at the end. Any end if, you have to close it, or any if statement, you have to close it like this. Okay, so let's go back, refresh. Everything should now be okay, like this. Okay, so we do have introduction to CSS. So we can say CSS overview. Instead of introduction to CSS, we do say CSS overview. Overview, like that, and then we can save. You see, once we save, it is updated and it redirects us to this section here where we see the detailed view of the post, and we can be able to edit it again. Just add that, then save post. So you see it has been updated and we can always go back to all the posts. So also this one, let's try edit it. So instead of it being introduction to JavaScript, let's have it as JavaScript overview. Overview, like that, overview. Then we save post, and there it is. Then we go back to all the posts. The update has been made too. All right, so now we are done with editing. That is how we do add our editing functionality. Let's go to delete. So we want, when we click on delete, we get to have a confirmation that we want to delete this post, and then we can confirm it's a yes or we can cancel. So if we say it's a yes, we want these post to disappear from this list over here. All right, and that can also happen on this view, detailed view. So if I click on delete, I should be able to delete this post. Okay, so let's do that. So now I want us to create a view. So def delete post, delete underscore post, like that. This is going to take in the request, and also we delete a specific post. So we're also going to use a post ID over here. Then we're going to come down here and confirm, or we access the post first that we need to delete. So we're still going to use post equal to get object. So this one, it allows you to get the object, and if the object is not in existence, then it returns a 404. So then we use our model where we're getting everything. Then we're going to say our PK, or the primary key, is actually going to be our post ID, like that. Okay, so here we access the post that we want to delete. Then the other thing is, for deletion, it is the same as update. So we need to confirm if a user is the user who is logged in is actually the user who created the post. So I'm going to copy these, and then I'm going to bring it down here like that. So this one, it checks if the user who is logged in is actually the user who is the owner of the post, or the author, the post author. So if that person is actually not equal to the post author, then we're going to have an error message. You don't have the permission to delete this post, to delete this post, like that. And then if you don't have the right permissions to delete this post, you'll be redirected back to the post detail. And the next thing is to send a post request. So our request is going to be to delete the user, right? So we're going to make a request to delete. So we're going to be making a post request. So we're going to say, remember, we also have a confirmation, which is what we are going to create the template. So to confirm for deletion. So we are actually sending a request to delete a particular post. So if the request.method, if request.method is actually equal to the post, then what we're going to do, so post is in capital here, so post, then what we're going to do is we're going to delete the post. So we're going to say post dot delete, so like that. So post dot delete function over there, that post is going to be deleted, and then we can be able to return messages. So messages dot success, so that is going to be success that the post deleted, post deleted successfully, like that. Okay, so that is the message. And then once we delete, then we can redirect to the post list, because now we don't have a post detail because the post has been deleted. So here we're going to return redirect, return redirect, then we redirect to post list, post underscore list, where we have the rest of the posts. Okay, so Away from this, then what we're going to return render, then request. This is going to display the confirm. So blog post underscore confirm underscore delete .html like that, and we're good. So there it is. And the only thing that we need to pass at the context here is actually the post that is being deleted. So we're going to have a post, and it's going to be equal to the post that we are deleting, like that. Okay, so now we do have our delete post view. So one, we get the post that we want to delete. We check if the user who is making the request to delete is actually the author of the post. Then if they are not, we tell them that they don't have the right permissions, and we redirect to post detail. Then we are making a request to delete, so we'll be even confirming, we'll be sending the confirmation. So here, if it is a post request, then we delete them. We delete the post and we redirect that the post has been deleted successfully. And then we redirect to the post list view where we see the rest of the posts. Then the other thing is we need to render this post confirm delete.html so that we can confirm deletion, and our context is going to be the post. Okay, so let's come to posts confirm delete HTML and create a HTML for this. Okay, so let's go here, and we're still going to extend. So extends base.html. Then we're going to have the blog title like that, and then here we're going to have the end block like that. And then for this one, we're going to call it delete post like that. Okay, then down here we're going to have blog content. So this is the content that will be fed directly to the section where we have blog content in the base.html. Then we can have here end block like that. Okay, so we're going to create a div. So this div is going to be a container. We're going to have the first section of the div, which is supposed to be the title of that page. So here we're going to say delete post like that, and then down here we can be able to add a p tag and then say this action is permanent, cannot be undone. So this is just a caution to anyone who wants to delete. Okay, so that is the first section there. Then we're going to have our second section here, so where we now have a particular form that we want to submit, or basically where we want to click that yes, we want to delete this. So that is going to be a form that we're going to submit, and that is the form which we are posting. So we are making a post request of this form, and once we make that post request, then we can be able to delete. Once we click either yes, delete, then that is going to be deleted. If I click on cancel, then we are supposed to be redirected or taken back to the detailed view. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to have a p tag here asking, are you sure you want to delete? Are you sure you want to delete? Then here we're going to have a form. So with the form, it's not going to take this action. We're just going to have a method which is going to be post like that. And now in this form, we are going to have one, we have to add this the CSRF token. So like this. So CSRF underscore token. like that. So this is a security layer for the form. Then we are coming here and adding a button. So we're going to have a button that says yes, delete it, yes, delete it, like that. And then also down here we're going to have an anchor tag which is going to reference to the detailed view. So here we're going to add a URL. So URL, then we add the URL for post detail. So post detail, like that. And then it's going to be using post.id, and it should be at when we click on cancel. So when we cancel, it takes us to the detailed view of the post. But if we click on this button here, which is going to be a type submit like this, then they should be able to delete. They should be able to delete this post. So let's test this up. So the other thing that we've not done is adding a URL for it. So what is going to happen, or how do we get to this point? So yeah, we're going to have something similar to the edit. So I'm just going to copy this, copy that, then we're going to adjust it. So ideally we want to access the specific post and we want to delete it, delete like this. And then for the views, we're going to bring in delete post, and the name of that view is going to be delete post. The name of the path, delete post, like this, delete post. All right, so now we do have a path for it. So we do the id/delete, then we can be able to get the delete post view, and that view is supposed to render this post confirm delete template. And this confirm delete post is basically sending in a form to confirm that you have deleted. So when you click on the button yes, delete it, then this is going to submit your answer. And if you click on cancel, this is going to redirect you to the post details section. Okay, so now I want us to link. We go to post list here. Over here we link our delete, so URL. So we'll just come here and say URL, then delete post, like that. That is the name of our URL, and we are deleting a specific post, so we pass in also the ID over there. So what you're going to do is I'm going to also have these in my post detail view where we have the delete, this one here. So we're going to have it over there. So once I click on delete, then it should be able to take me to a place where I'm confirming that I need to delete. And if I say yes, delete it, then it's supposed to be deleted. But if I just cancel, then it's supposed to redirect me to this section of the detailed view. Okay, so let's go back here, refresh. So this is the detailed view. Let's go back to all the posts. If I click delete, you see it is asking me, this action is permanent, cannot be undone. Are you sure you want to delete it? If I click on cancel, it takes me back to the detailed view. So once I go back home and I click delete and I say yes, delete it. So we do have an issue here. So success, missing required positional argument, message. So let's see. Post deleted successfully, we left out the request. So let's go back here on views and post deleted successfully, the request that we are making, like that, and post deleted successfully there. So let's go back. So refresh. We do have no blog posts. Okay, let's go back, refresh. So it was deleted actually. So let's create a quick post. Let's bring back introduction to Python. So introduction to Python. Then we're going to have Python is a very popular programming language that can be used in data science, and web development, web development, and artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, intelligence, like that. Okay. Then publish immediately, then save. So we've created a very quick post. We go back here. Now we have two. I want to delete this one. So if I click on delete, you see there is two things. Yes, delete it and cancel. If I cancel, it takes me to the detailed view of this post. Then if I click delete again, it takes me back here and I want to delete it. I will say, yes, delete it. You see, now it has been deleted. And that is how we do create the flow for deleting a particular post. Now we do have everything working. If I come back here home, we see all the posts that have been created. So let's create another post. So we're going to say Django forms. So Django forms. So Django forms allow us to validate user input, or we can say it allows us to collect and validate user input, like that. Okay, so we're going to publish immediately and save post. Then home, we can see we do have the posts. We can be able to read the post, so we can read the details about the post. If we go back, we can be able to edit, so we can be able to edit such a post. And scientific computing, like that. So we save posts, we can be able to edit, and back to all posts. Here we edited and here it is. Then we can be able to delete a particular post. Yes, delete it, then it disappears. Go back home, you can see we do have the entire list. All right, so all these, they are possible for someone who is logged in. So let's say we log out. So log out. Okay, so we are logged out. We come back here, refresh. So we can be able to see the read post, right? Go back to, can we be able to edit? Can we edit? We can be able to see these edit and delete, right? What we're going to do is going to come back here to the views. I'm going to import from django.contrib.auth.decorators import login required, like that. So this means anywhere that you add this decorator, then that section will only be viewed if you are logged in. So copy this. Then for the create posts, we need you to be logged in. So add logged in, like that. Then also for the update post, that is the editing, we're also going to have the same at login required. And also for the deletion, so at login required, like that. So that means you can't be able to see these particular views, the creating of the post, the updation of the post, and also the deletion of the post if you're not logged in. So we go back and confirm. So we refresh. So home, read posts, come back, edit. You see we can't be able to edit, page not found. Then also delete, we can't also see. Okay, so now we can be able to adjust this further. Okay, so the other thing that I would want us to do is, you see, I'm logged out, right? But I can still see the edit and the delete. So I want to display these edit and delete to only, even here, you can see edit or delete, and I'm logged out. So I don't want to be able to see these two buttons unless one is authenticated. So let's do that. So we're going to start with the first one, which is on the post list. So these two, they should only be visible if a user is authenticated. So what we're going to do is, before we can show this div here, I want us to check for authentication. So if the user is actually the one, actually we should be able to see these if one is logged in and they are also the author of that post, right? So if the author of that post is not the one who is logged in, then they should not be able to see the edit and delete of that post. So we're going to check here. So if request dot user equal to post dot author, like that, equal to post dot author, that is when we should be able to see these two sections like that. Okay, then here we can be able to end if. So end if like that. So if we go back here and refresh on the list, so let's go back, refresh, you can see we only have the read post. Then we need to also change these so that only the person who is the author, the same thing, but we add it on this section here for the detailed view. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy these. So copy that, then come back here to the detailed view. So where we do have this section here, then I'm going to paste like that. Okay, so if I can just format the document, then come back here and refresh. So this is the list view. If I read posts, you can see we don't have the edit and delete. So I've only made sure that they are only visible to the author of a certain post. So if the author is not logged in this scenario, there is no one who is logged in, then they can't see. If I log in as another author, I still can't edit another author's post. All right, so that is how we can be able to create a simple blog application using Django. We've been able to cover the creation of a post, we've been able to cover editing of a post, then there is deletion of a post and also confirm deletion, and then we've been able to cover the display of the posts. Now in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how we can style this blog. See, at the moment it was not looking so good, everything is not appearing nicely, and we'd want to style it and make it look much better. See you in the next tutorial.